Story 1. My name is Jack Mercer. I'm 32. I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I served in Afghanistan, and I don't know why I'm telling you this now, except I need to get it out. I know this sounds crazy. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I need to say it just like it happened. So it started when I was staffing the night shift alone at this remote fuel depot near Kandahar. It was just me and Carlos. I guess he wasn't alone because I was there, but we weren't a unit. Just two guys doing paperwork and watch. I can't piece dates straight. Night 1, I swear I felt something shift, like a drone of distant voices in the desert wind, impossible to make out. Carlos asked if I heard anything. I said no, but I was shaking. I didn't expect the figure. I didn't expect him to wander in through the gate. Just a man in tattered civilian clothes, bleeding from his hands, eyes hollow. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I can still hear the drip of blood onto concrete. I thought he got lost, but he didn't look lost. He just stared at the fuel tanks, murmuring something I couldn't catch. I asked for his name. He didn't answer. He just hissed. Carlos went to help him, said we should take him to medical. I said, that's not our job. We're not medics. The next hours are a blur. I remember half. I recall seeing the figure by the fence again, like he hadn't moved, just watched us. Time slipped. I started tripping over past entries, writing in the log that he'd gone, next moment writing he was back by the tanks. Contradiction, inner doubt. I'd write, delete, scratch out. I'd tell myself, I must have hallucinated. The heat, the fatigue. Then I found footprints, leading from the gate to where he stood, red and soaked into sand. Carlos and I tried to ignore it next shift, 2 nights later. I asked if he wanted to pull the perimeter camera feed. He said we could, but what if we see the same figure slip in again on tape, calmly walking, blood dripping onto our gear? I couldn't watch. I pressed play. The screen flickered. At 3:17 a.m., a dark silhouette, clothed in dusty rags, appears, follows the guard path, then just stands facing camera, then lifts a hand, dripping. Pause. Screen goes static. I know this sounds crazy, but I swear the drip looked like a salute. Or maybe I'm imagining things. My head throbbed. I walked away. Carlos didn't say anything. He looked pale. By the 3rd night, I was losing it. I kept hearing quiet sobbing. I'd sit alone in the guard shack, writing scraps. Got memory of someone screaming, but also memory of silence. I remember waking to Carlos shaking me. He's outside, he said. I thought prank. I looked out the window. Nothing. No shape, no gate open. But I heard breath. Heavy breathing. Right there. I grabbed my rifle. Cold sweat soaked my uniform. I yelled. No answer. I stepped outside. Sand crunched. I turned. but he was gone. Only thing left, fresh footprints around the shack. Sandy, but soaked. I knelt, touching them. They were sticky, warm, like fresh blood. I gagged. Carlos and I decided to leave. We reported ghost, deserter, whatever. Higher-ups didn't know what to say. Report filed. Unidentified person infiltrated perimeter. No cam footage after static. Cameras broke randomly. Next shifts. We left shortly after. I filed a request to transfer out. I still get nightmares. But what bothers me most, I keep seeing that figure walking through my dreams. Same ragged clothes, blood dripping, walking exactly that guard path. No expression, just watching. Carlos refused to keep talking about it. He claims he doesn't remember much. Maybe he blocked it. Maybe I blocked it. I don't know what it was. Could have been a ghost, trauma, wounded civilian, hallucination. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But the footprints, that blood-stained sand inside our compound, I still feel like someone else is watching me when I close my eyes. We never got answers. Official file closed, mystery unresolved. I don't sleep easy anymore. I keep thinking he'll come back, walking exactly the same path. I didn't finish inspecting the tanks that night. I left early. Still got a haunting image in my memory of that figure, saluting the tanks with a bleeding hand. I don't know what revenge or warning that was, but I know I can't ever forget it. That's it. I can't say more. I don't know if this is true, half remembered, or I'm broken, but I guess some part of me still hears that drip. Story 2. My name is Daniel Danny Fields. I'm 29. I live in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was stationed in Iraq in 2011. I know this sounds crazy. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I have to try. So, it begins during a long, slow shift at a wrecked roadside checkpoint near Fallujah. Just me and my buddy Micah doing perimeter watch inside a battered Humvee. Mostly paperwork, radio checks. I wasn't paying enough attention. Micah kept jerking, saying he saw something at the edge of the desert. It was dusk and heat haze. I said it's mirage, but his breathing was choppy. We took turns staring out the windshield. I remember seeing a blurred shape in desert camo walking along the berm. No gear, no helmet, just walking. At first, I thought desert rebel. Then, figure paused, turned, looked right at us. I felt gut tighten. Micah whispered, "That he?" I said, "He's not wearing kit." Micah shook his head. Then the figure disappeared behind a shattered concrete barrier. We looked at each other, inner doubt. Did we see? Too tired? Sun was setting yellow-orange. I kept thinking, that shape moved wrong. Slow. We got up. Doors open. Inching forward toward barrier. Inside, my notebook. I'd scribbled notes earlier. Saw something. Maybe nothing. Then I crossed next line. What if hallucination from pills? But I hadn't taken anything. I realized I couldn't trust my memory. I walked around barrier. Footprints in sand behind it. Boot tread. Fresh, tiny, civilian size, mixed with blood spatter, like someone dragged a wound. I scrambled back. Micah and I went to inspect the checkpoint later that night. I said we should call it in, but when command answered, our comms dropped static. They asked code phrase. I said, all clear, because confusion. They replied code phrase back by voice, unnatural pitch, and static. I didn't trust it. Next morning, they sent out a medic truck. Nothing unusual in cameras or logs. They said, maybe insurgent, but no missing persons reported. Micah kept internals, saw figure again at dawn. I swear I saw him too. It was farther, slouched forward. Couldn't be living. Blood caked on shirt, but he moved, slowly, dragging one leg. I tried studying sand tracks, found strip marks, like someone wiped blood off on sand. My mind flickered. I might have imagined that line, but then I found scraps of cloth, torn, dusty, speckled red. I write this in pieces. Entry 1, saw shadow. Entry 2, footprints, blood. Entry 3, TV static. Entry 4, creeping dread. Entry 5, he showed at dawn. Entry 6, they closed the checkpoint. Entry 7, I requested leave. We closed that post. They sent engineers in days later. They cleared the berms, new concrete walls. They said they found shredded rags and a body buried under debris, skeletal remains. No ID tag, no unit number, civilian ID gone. They chalked it up to civilian casualty, local evacuation. Micah and I were pulled back, but the footprints in my dream, they're still fresh. Every night I wake, feeling sand firm under my palms. I can't tell if that's memory or nightmare. I know it sounds crazy. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I keep hearing dragging footsteps outside hotel doors here in Louisiana. I turn to look. Hallway empty. Micah hasn't spoken. He left the Corps shortly after return. I called him to compare notes. He hung up. I think he blocked the memory. I still have that torn cloth pinned in a drawer, faded and stiff with old rust stains. Every time I open it, I feel finger bruises on my mind, ache in my hip, like from dragging. I spit on the cloth sometimes, angry. What did we disturb under that sand? Who was that man? They never considered it paranormal. I didn't say ghost. I just said unidentified person, maybe insurgent. They accepted it. Official paperwork closed. No follow-up. Mystery unresolved. I'm back in the US now, trying to live normal. But sometimes I forget hot tea in my hand and feel desert heat. Sometimes I swear I see footprints forming behind me in mud after rain. I walk faster. I know I'm flawed. I couldn't sleep more than 2 hours that deployment. I couldn't trust what I saw. But I know I saw something. And I know it bled. That man, civilian or ghost, I'll never know. He had one purpose. Cross that berm, bleed in the sand, stand and stare. Then, vanish. No goodbye, no revenge, just wait in memory. I finished this story with trembling hands. I can't resolve it. It won't resolve. The echo of dragging footsteps follows me still. That's it. Story 3. My name's Aaron Blake. I'm 35 and I live in Boise, Idaho. I was stationed at a remote airstrip in eastern Syria in the fall of 2013. I know this sounds crazy. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I've got to write this before I lose more of what I think I remember. I arrived for guard duty alone. My sergeant had left early. I volunteered to stay another shift. By midnight, the heat had cooled, and stillness pressed against the tower windows. I wrote, "Too quiet," and then scratched it out, wondering if I'd sounded like some amateur ghost hunter. But that quiet felt sharp. Around 1:05 a.m., I saw something kneeling by the edge of the runway. A man, or something human-sized, dressed in threadbare clothing. No helmet, no gear. At first, I thought he'd sneaked in. Then, he lifted his head, eyes reflecting the tower lights. For a moment, just a flicker. I thought, was there movement? I switched on night vision, but when I looked again, he was gone. Could have been mirage. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I felt cold air inside, but there was no breeze. Computers flickered. Comms hummed with static. That jolt made me sweat. I asked over radio if anyone else saw flicker or heard anything. Silence. At 2:04 a.m., camera number 3 showed a distorted silhouette emerging from shadows at far end of the runway. It moved slowly, dragging something long behind it. A deflated tarp? A wounded limb? Couldn't tell. It paused, center frame, held something upright, then static. Audio went dead. I replayed, and same. Rewound, static. I drank more coffee, fingers shaking. By 2:20 a.m., I couldn't stay still. I climbed down and stepped onto gravel. Boots clicked against different surface. Asphalt, tarmac, then shifting sand. I bent to inspect a smear on the runway edge. Reddened dust mixed with asphalt. Dried, but fresh enough to flake under my thumbnail. Then footprints. 2 parallel faint imprints. Civilian-sized boots. Shallow, smeared in red. No blood smell, just iron-like dust. I know this sounds crazy, but I heard it. A whisper behind me. Low enough I almost convinced myself it was my own thoughts. Help me. I spun. Nothing. No one. The whisper, optional. Maybe my brain traced sand patterns and made static into words. I went back inside, shaking. On the desk, my notebook lay open. It was open to the last entry, but I swear I hadn't written it. Then scribbles. I couldn't. He disappeared. Daylight came, and I replayed camera feed again. The feed before 2:04 was normal, just empty runway. At exactly 2:04, a solitary figure appears. After that, nothing. Tape cut. Power cut. Morning convoys pulled up. Engineers checked cameras. Reported line damage. Gate had been cut. HQ mentioned possible civilian infiltration. They logged fence breach. No items stolen. No injury reported. No one noted blood or blogged whispers. I was asked if I saw someone. I said I saw movement. That was it. Later that day, the recovery team found a body buried near runway edge under collapsed corrugated metal. Skin ghastly pale, clothing civilian, boots missing, wounds to legs and scalp. No ID, no documents. They said tribal authorities had no missing persons. They labeled it stray civilian casualty. Clearance, file closed. I didn't talk much after. I left early the next month. I filed for trauma and nightmares. I was exhausted, paranoid about sand under my palms. Scratches in night silence. No one talked about it. Maybe they forgot. Maybe I blocked it. Somehow, back in Boise, I keep one ragged piece of cloth from that runway fence line, orange fiber stiff with rust-colored stains. I pressed it between paper in an envelope. When I opened that envelope, months later, that smell, like old blood, residue edges, makes me want to vomit. I've never slept through the night since. Sometimes I dream of gravel scraper sounds, the figure kneeling, dragging something. I wake gasping. I check behind my bedroom door for footsteps. Hallway always empty. Sometimes in my kitchen, I still feel desert heat. My skin prickles. Then I catch sight of faint footprints. Faint footprints in fogged window glass. Civilian size. Tiny. I can't trust my memory. Could just be water droplets. But each morning, they vanish. It's messy. Incomplete. I jump in my notebook between conflicting entries. Maybe it was hallucination. Then, but there was dried red on runway. Then, maybe the smear was rust, not blood. Then, whisper sounded too real. It's all there. Doubt and dread, wrestling. I reached out to one guy who was on radar shift. He wrote back. He saw figures too, but figured it was desert wildlife or equipment glitch. He said he wiped logs. Wouldn't say more. He blocked me on social, so no ally. This story has no resolution, no reveal, no vanquished demon. Just a damaged civilian, or ghost, or delirious man in blood, dragging something, kneeling in runway dust. Then, nothing. Then burial, removed. Then me, left with entries, cloth, nightmares. My mind replays that whisper. Help me, over and over. I hear dragging in silence. I feel weight on runway, whether I'm asleep or awake. My life moved me away, but the sand, the smear, the static on camera, it stays. That's it. No hero, no ending. Just unresolved. I'm not sure anyone wants to believe. I'm not sure I believed at first. But the cloth, the footprints, the camera feed, they happened. It may be wrong memory, hallucination, but it bled. and it never left me. I can't resolve it. I can't make it make sense. It closes open and stays open, like a wound that never heals. That's where I leave it.